Introduction to Behavioral Ethics. Most athletes understand that to help preserve the spirit of fair and honest competition that makes all sports possible, they must follow the rules of the game. Athletes, like all the rest of us, must act with integrity. But, as in business, the high stakes and intense competition athletes face in the world of sports can present ethical challenges. High-profile coaches and famous athletes have been stripped of titles, dropped from Hall of Fame voting ballots, and banned from sports for life due to doping, cheating, and other breaches of integrity. For example, Olympic sprinting champion Ben Johnson was stripped of his medals and banned from competing because he used illegal performance-enhancing drugs. And the 2017 World Series baseball championship is forever tainted because many of the winning Houston Astros players were part of an illegal scheme to steal their opponents' pitching signs.
You know, I think a lot of what makes sports sports is the fact that we all believe that everyone has integrity, right?
You're not going to get anywhere if you're cheating your way through practices. It's kind of just like maintaining the integrity of the game, really.
So, how can we avoid the ethical pitfalls that have tripped up other athletes? Well, just as research in sports psychology has improved people's athletic performance, research in the psychology of moral decision-making, called behavioral ethics, can improve people's ethical performance. Behavioral ethics focuses on why good people sometimes make bad moral decisions and don't live up to their own ethical standards. It describes the social and organizational pressures, like obedience to authority, the psychological biases and decision-making shortcuts, like the overconfidence bias, and situational factors, like stress and time pressure, that can lead all of us to make unethical choices. Sometimes, these missteps are made consciously, but more often, our poor moral choices are made subconsciously, which is why studying behavioral ethics is so important.
Good people can do bad things, even when you think they're capable of those things, because you've never seen them in that light before.
You want to win, you want to succeed, but you also need to follow the rules, do what's right, do what's best for the team, and sometimes that makes decision-making hard.
Learning about behavioral ethics gives us the chance to make better moral decisions by guarding against these biases and pressures that impact our decision-making. For example, consider the conformity bias, which is our tendency to take cues for proper behavior from our peers, rather than using our own independent moral judgment. Research shows that if athletes believe their competitors are doping, they are more likely to dope themselves. And if college coaches believe that other coaches are cheating in recruiting, they're more likely to cheat also.
I feel like that's a pretty basic human thing, following the crowd, right?
If you're in a group and people in that group are not making the right decisions and you're not able to see that, you could make a decision that you're not aware of or thinking about just because you're hanging with the wrong crowd.
Obedience to authority is another potential pitfall for moral decision-making. For example, we may do something we're uncomfortable with simply because a coach or a teacher or a parent told us to. Sometimes we consciously choose to do wrong, to not lose playing time, or to avoid being cut from the team. But more often, we unconsciously go along with what we're asked to do because our brain is hardwired to be obedient to authority. The pleasure centers of our brains light up when we please people in charge.
When the coaches ask us to do something, like, we all want to do it to please them.
If the coach says jump, you always ask how high.
If he wants them to do something unethical, that power and authority he has over them can play out in the wrong ways if you're not careful.
These behavioral ethics concepts, and many others covered in Ethics Unwrapped, introduce the ethical traps that the human mind can lay for us. We can all benefit from making the subconscious conscious. And these ideas can help all of us live up to our own values and improve our moral decision-making. Integrating behavioral ethics into daily life can make our friends and parents proud of us and help our teams and communities flourish.
Ethics in sports, I believe, is very significant because we're all trying to have a playing an even playing field.
To be able to hold yourself to a really high ethical standard in every single action that you're taking will ultimately allow you to be the best competitor.
It's like, athletes that was on steroids, and now they be like, I wish I was never on steroids. And so, eventually it's gonna catch up to you, you're gonna feel some type of way. So I just feel like if you play the game right, the game play right by you.
You're never gonna get it 100% perfect, but just the act of striving towards, ethics will make you that much more ethical.
It's important to take the lessons we learn now and being ethical into our future jobs and later life.